What's going on, everybody? Since Silver Lions always seem to be a concern for a lot of War Thunder players out there, I'm going to continue the 1 million Silver Lions per day series. Today we're looking at the BF-109E7. Yes, I know I sound terrible. I'm very nasally. I'm congested. I got something. I don't know what it is, but I just figured a sick video is better than no video. The BF-109E7 is a 3.0 Japanese premium fighter, and it is the exact same plane, copy-paste, as the BF-109E4 in the German tech tree, but that one's just not premium. This thing costs 1,000 Golden Eagles, which is $6.60 US, and when you pick this thing up on sale, Golden Eagle sales happen very often where the Golden Eagle premium planes are 50% off or sometimes 30% off. You can basically get this thing for less than $5. You could even further decrease the price of this premium by going to the Google Play Store and downloading today's video sponsor, GE for War Thunder. GE for War Thunder is an app available in the Google Play Store that allows you to complete tasks of varying difficulty. Depending on how difficult the task is, that's going to determine how much Golden Eagles you get for free. Are you going to use it enough to get thousands of Golden Eagles for free? No, probably not, but you can get a couple hundred Golden Eagles relatively easily and quickly, which can get you a free BF-109E7. Or maybe you just want one free day of premium time to help yourself grind on a weekend. Either way, download the app using the link in the description down below. Use my code on screen for 10 extra Golden Eagles. Dollar for dollar, guys, I really don't think that there's a much better way of grinding Silver Lions than picking up one of these lower tier premium props. Go ahead and look at all the stat cards before you buy one, see what kind of stats as far as rewards they actually get, but a lot of the premium props at the 3.0 BR range have really good percentages for SL combined with a really good multiplier. The 109E7, for example, is 675% SL with premium on a 2.25 times 2 multiplier, which is pretty dang good. Those numbers are honestly better than most of the premiums unless you actually get, one of those really expensive $60 or $70 premium packs. But for the most part, these rank 2 premium props actually make a really good amount of SL, not just for the battle rating, but just in general. On top of that, they are low BR, so if you're pretty decent at the game or at least have somewhat of an idea of what you're doing, you're going to be able to do pretty well in them, which is of course going to increase your rewards and your earnings. So you kind of play in Botville where a lot of people are really new to the game. So if you're not new to the game but you still struggle to get SL because you're on a free-to-play account, then it's honestly pretty easy to farm down here. There are a couple of other good options, things like the Russian P63, the XP50, of course, the Corsair, the F4U1A, also in the Japanese tree. There's just a lot of other good options out there. You're not wrong for picking those, and even if it's 25 or 50% less SL, if you do better in that plane, it's going to ultimately be worth it to have the lower multiplier and percentage. But today we're just talking about the 109E7, so I'm going to actually cover a little bit of the summary, I guess, of this plane and how I like to play it, its strengths and weaknesses, stuff like that. At 3.0 battle rating, this plane is actually pretty dang strong. In a straight line, you're definitely up there as far as among the faster planes. Not the fastest, of course, but your acceleration at pretty much all speeds is pretty damn good. Until you, of course, start topping out at the higher 400, early 500 range, it really starts to slow down. But that's to be expected with a 3.0 plane, so no problem there. The climb rate is exceptional at 3.0. You're probably going to be out climbing just about every enemy that you fight against. The optimal climb speed of a 109E4 or 109E7, I guess, is pretty much, don't quote me on this, but it's roughly around 240 kilometers an hour IAS. That might be the exact number, it might be close, but it's going to be close enough to where you are getting a really good climb rate out of it. So make sure you're climbing at 240 kilometers IAS at all times. And if you maintain that speed, you're going to be climbing very efficiently and be higher than pretty much everybody at the start of your battles. It doesn't have a chronic overheating problem, so you can WEP pretty relentlessly for a very long time, but eventually it will overheat. So cutting off of WEP and then coming down to 90% throttle sometimes is definitely something you're going to have to do with this plane if your matches are prolonged, especially so. But really it's not that big of a deal, so the overheating is not a huge issue. Something I really like about the 109E series over the 109Fs in the Gs is that these flaps actually come down. If you need flaps for an engagement and you press your flap key, they are going to start coming down a lot quicker than the 109F series planes and 109G series planes. I don't know why you would think that the later 109s have a better flap system, but this just isn't the case. You can also pull much more aggressive turns with the 109Es as we nearly collide behind with that bomber there. You can pull much more aggressive turns with the flaps. The landing flaps especially are pretty nutty on this thing. They will allow you to pull some pretty good AoA for considering the speeds you're going to be at anyways, for stall fighting and stuff like that. Just all around really nice in that aspect. And then if you are a little bit more disciplined with your flap usage and you don't use them every time you start turning and slowing down, you can actually hold your energy pretty well too. So it's not a terrible S holding plane, and it's really especially not that bad in verticals for a 3.0 battle rating. You can definitely, as long as you're of course entering the fight with enough airspeed to do so, you can definitely enter a fight and start going vertical and pulling spirals and stuff like that, and a lot of planes at this battle rating just aren't going to be able to keep up with it. Some of your more problematic enemies at this battle rating are going to be things like Yak-1Bs, Ki 44-2s, the P-39, the P-63A5, and I really can't think of too many more that are going to really give this thing a hard time. Those are of course the planes that I think are just honestly straight up better than you as a 1094, but that's not to say that you can't win, especially if you're a more experienced player and you've played more than 10 hours on this game. You're probably going to have an inherent advantage just because a lot of the people you're playing against, again, aren't going to be that experienced, and while they may be in a better aircraft sometimes, your experience is definitely enough to kind of counteract that, because it's still not that much better than the 1097, you know what I'm saying? I think the main thing for people to keep in mind at not just this battle rating, but almost all prop battle ratings, but especially so here, just because not a lot of people do it, is you need to actually enter a dogfight with some actual airspeed. If you're not going about 400, 450 IAS, you're not getting the most capability out of the plane. You want to at least be level flight, preferably, being in a slight dive or something like that, going into a fight so that you can pick up some airspeed, and that way it's going to help you in a prolonged fight. Of course, if you can end it in 1 or 2 turns, the airspeed's not going to be very important, but if you're fighting something that actually has capable dogfighting ability, then yeah, you probably want to be going into a fight with at least 400 IAS, and that's definitely going to help you out in the long run. That is, of course, if you manage to get in a perfect 1 versus 1 scenario. If you're dealing with multiple enemies, which you will be for most of the game, here's the results for this game, by the way, on screen, just because people have asked. But anyways, yeah, if you're dealing with more than one enemy, which is most of the game, right, you very rarely are going to be able to focus down one guy at a time, you don't want to lose that speed at all. So you want to be trying to go 400 to 450 at all times and play more of a boom and zoom tactic until you can start singling people out, taking them up into verticals, stalling targets out one at a time, and then you can kind of pick people off. Here we can see I am starting off higher, just like I said I usually do in the 1094, and especially so just because a lot of people at this battle rating don't know their optimal climb speeds, and why would you? Let's be honest, it's kind of nerdy to look at the optimal climb speed for every single plane in the game, but if that interests you, join my Discord, link in the description down below, go to the War Thunder Sources channel, and you will find a climb chart. And if you maximize your climb rate for your aircraft, you will notice that very often you will actually be above the average player that doesn't know their climb speed. So once again, here's another E4. He's in the exact same symmetrical plane as I am. I'm starting above him though, so it's going to make it pretty easy. He was trying to kind of go vertical for me, so he ends up stalling himself out, realizes far too late that I'm about to shoot him. He dives away, but again, he's just stalling out. He makes himself a very easy target, and he is not going to be accelerating away quick enough to actually have enough airspeed to defend against me. This plane does have 2 8mm Mauser machine guns, as well as 2 20mm MGFF/Ms. I hope I'm getting that right. But I'm pretty sure these things are shooting the same air target belt as an MG151, which is not a terrible air target belt in today's War Thunder due to real shatter and stuff like that, but it definitely could be a lot better. I think people overhype the German 20mm cannon just way too much, because one of the only cannons that isn't real shattered, but in the end of the day, I don't think that it's just not that special to me. It's certainly not the 20mm MG151 damage that I'm used to from, a year or two ago, but at least it's not real shatter. I recommend running your guns at really close range convergence. I see a lot of people that run cannons and just guns in general with way too big of a convergence. At props, you're seeing convergence of 600, 700 meters. That's just ridiculous in my opinion. I know it, keeps you on target for long range shots. For example, you're still hitting people's wings at 1 kilometer if you're running a 600 meter convergence, but realistically, how often are you actually hitting shots from that far away? 0.6 while you're trailing somebody is not close range in my opinion whatsoever. Maybe if you're really cracked with the sticks and you can aim really easily, sure, but For your average engagement, you're not going to be pulling the trigger until you're about 0.4, 0.3, sometimes even 0.2 kilometers away from people, and if your guns aren't converging on the target, you're not going to get a whole lot of damage out of them compared to what you could if they're actually converging. So, I recommend running 300 meter convergence for planes at this tier because just generally the action happens a little bit closer, the guns are a little bit lower velocity, and therefore you're kind of forced to shoot at closer ranges. And middle tier props, I recommend running 400 meter convergence, especially so with 50 cals. That's one of the biggest problems with wing mounted 50 cals is the convergence, and very often people are running a convergence way too high and then they complain about 50 cal damage. If you tighten down that convergence and shoot at a little bit closer range, you will be one-shotting people, or I should say one-bursting people, a lot more often, I promise. That pretty much does it for the 109E7 and this video. Summary overall of the video is this thing is a fantastic SL Jesus. I'm keeping that in there to show you guys how much I struggle talking whenever I hit the record button. But anyways, this thing is a fantastic SL grinder. It's very inexpensive, less than $5 sometimes, or at the most $6. Whoop-de-doo. I'm sure everybody can spend a little bit of money if you're playing the game enough to be worried about Silver Lions. The flight performance is pretty damn good for the battle rating, and as long as you enter fights with some actual airspeed, try to go in at least 400 IAS, you're going to have a really easy time kind of mopping people up, especially so just because people are really inexperienced at this battle rating. The guns leave a little bit to be desired as far as velocity and damage goes, but for 3.0 they're actually pretty damn good. So I hope this video helps you guys grind more SL much easier. Here's the results screen. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you later.